Yes. In the minutes package, page 14, condition number 5, I don't think that should be in there. It's not relevant to convey to another lot. This was a lot, not a merger. E2122. Page 5, page 14, sorry,
14.
of 20.
So condition number. This is the one.
Condition number 5.
E2222.
E2122 and E2222, page 15, it's the same issue, only it's item number 6 on E2222. I may be wrong, I don't think so, though.
This is what.
They were both establishing new lots, but
It's establishment of one lot, half off of each of those two houses.
That's right. But they weren't being merged, were they?
The two had to be, those two severances had to be merged into one.
So they were merged into one.
That's the only way they could build on it, and that was what we were told.
Oh, okay, so that's correct then?
Yeah. Yes.
And I guess, well, thank you for that, I'm sorry. Also, E16, the 16, 17, 18, 19, the last 4, page 20 of 20, did we not extend, thanks to, I think, Dennis's eloquent comments close to the end of that request for an extension, didn't it not go beyond April 21st, 2023? That's less than a year. I thought we gave them another full year or 2 years.
Oh, that's the 4 in West Alva.
I think we gave them another full year
Another full year.
Yeah, it should have been a full year, yeah.
from last month, April, to next year, April.
And so it wasn't extended beyond that.
Well, yes, I believe it was, wasn't it, Julie?
It was extended for 2 years. Remember, one of the gentlemen asked about, could we have it for 2 years instead of 1, or am I mistaken?
I would like the opportunity to double check on this one.
Yes,
So if we could just move the approval of the minutes to the,
subject to the,
Verification.
or subject to verification, and I'll provide that verification before the end of today's meeting.
yes. Somebody move with that, by John, with agreement that Julie will give us the clarification on whether it's 2023 or 2022. Mover agree, seconder agree. So it's moved by John, seconded by Rosemary. Any other questions? All in favor? It's carried. Any business arising out of the minutes? Just the one item we had there, okay? Any disclosure in your interest or general nature thereof? None? Any items for correspondence? No items? We'll have no business arising from correspondence. New business?
Sure.
Yes.
Wouldn't this package that we have here be considered correspondence?
Are they part of the applications?
Oh, okay,
Part of an application in the second application.
okay.
So we'll start with our consent applications. First one is 9 AM, 2422, and you got it on your computer? I just gotta bring mine up here. Yeah, put it this one. Sorry about that, I've got it now. We have application number E 24-22. Take notice that an application has been made by W. Norlis Farms Incorporated, 31395 Talbot Line, Iona Station, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act. The applicant proposes to sever a parcel with a frontage of 99 meters, 324.8 feet, and a depth of 75 meters, 246.06 feet, and an area of 0.745 hectares, 1.83 acres. And that should be to remain in residential use. The applicants are retaining 59 hectares, 131 acres, proposed to remain in agricultural use. Do we have any applicants or agents and interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee. Thanks, Wayne.
Hi, committee.
We'll have any, if you could give us a few minutes and we'll ask you questions if we have any.
Okay.
Okay, and do we have Jesse on the planner on to give comments, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's Jesse McPhail here with Republic Urbanism. We're a planning consultant for the County of Elgin. So I'm here to answer any questions that may come up.
So who's given the?
Jesse, are you able to give us a quick overview of the report?
Oh, yeah, of course I can do that. So this application here in front of the committee today is essentially for a surplus residence to a farming operation. So the applicant is looking to sever off an existing residential use and retaining the farmland with the balance of the farm. So as was mentioned, the parcel size is approximately 1.8 acres. It contains an existing dwelling, and the retained farmlands are approximately 131 acres, which will be remaining in a farm use. The proposal, following a review of comments received by the municipality of Dutton Dunwich, as well as the Conservation Authority, no concerns have been identified. Staff are of the opinion that the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It conforms to the County of Elgin official plan, as well as the municipality of Dutton Dunwich official plan, and staff are satisfied that it will be able to comply with any zoning requirements applied to the resulting parcels. So staff would recommend that approval be given to this proposal for those reasons.
Any other, Dennis, you have a comment?
Question to the planner, when I see the well, if I'm reading the diagram right, it's 8 meters from the property line?
I would just need to take a look here.
And I'm just curious with the water quality being affected when it's that close. Did that ever come up in anybody's discussion?
Excuse me, one thing. I believe, Wayne, you're on pipeline water?
Yes, I'm on municipal water, yes. It's just an old redundant well, it's not used.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Just wanted clarification there that.
Does the county or the health unit have any policies when a well is abandoned like that of properly capping it? No way, they just let it
My
go.
understanding, and I believe it is in that municipality, people can still use those wells for watering their lawn or doing other things.
Okay.
Any other, give any comments, excuse me, Wayne, do you have any comments?
I just want to, my goal is to move to the farm next door, which is my main farm, and that's why I'd like to ask for severance on this piece.
Okay, thanks, Wayne.
Second.
Moved by John Andrews, seconded by Dennis. That we proceed, the severance is proceeding with. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Wayne. Mr. Nordis?
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to read out the resolution and the condition?
Pardon?
Would you like me to read?
Yes, I was just going to ask you that, please.
Be it resolved that severance application E2422 be approved, subject to the following conditions. A digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan be provided to the County of Elgin. Solicitor undertaking to provide a copy of registered deed for the severed parcel once completed, and municipal addressing to be provided to County of Elgin from the local municipality prior to final approval to the satisfaction of Elgin County Planning. Additionally, the following conditions from the Township of Southwold be included as conditions for consent. That a zoning bylaw amendment is in force and effect for the severed and retained parcels to rezone the severed parcel to special rural residential zone and rezone the retained parcel to a special agricultural or A2 zone to prohibit all residential uses. That septic system review for the severed parcel has been completed. That municipal drain reappointments have been completed. That a mutual drainage agreement under section 2 or 4 of the Drainage Act has been provided to provide a legal drainage outlet for the newly created residential lot. That 2 hard copies and 1 digital copy of the registered survey have been provided to the municipality. That taxes are to be paid in full. That a 911 sign be established for the severed and retained parcels. That all Dutton Dunwich planning application fees, is that Dutton Dunwich? Southwold.
That's,
Dutton Dunwich? That all Dutton Dunwich planning application fees as set out in the fees bylaw be paid to the municipality. That all barns capable of holding livestock or are in disrepair on both the retained and severed lands be removed or decommissioned to the satisfaction of the chief building official. That the applicant confirms with the municipality that they are a bona fide farmer, and that the solicitor provides an undertaking that a copy of the registered deed for the severed parcel, once the transaction has occurred, will be provided to the municipality.
okay. The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Land Division at elgin.ca. So the next application is E85-21. Take notice, an application was made by 1551945 Ontario Limited, David Russell, 382 Queens Ave, London, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended to sever lands municipally known as 431 Front Street, Municipality of Central Elgin. The applicants propose to sever a parcel with a frontage of 15 meters, 49.21 feet, by a depth of 24.0 meters, 78.74 feet, and an area of 0.3 hectares, 0.09 acres for future residential use. The applicants are retaining a parcel with an area of 0.04 hectares, 0.1 acres, proposed to remain in residential use. To applicants or agents and interested parties who wish to speak to this application, please introduce yourself to the committee.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Ted Hallwa. I act as agent and planner for the applicant. The applicant is here, not the numbered company, but the actual person behind the numbered company, David Russell.
Okay, thank you. And we will go through our procedures, and if we have any questions, we'll ask you. I'll now ask Jesse, the planner, for comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So without reiterating the proposal again, so the Land Division Committee may remember this application was presented back in November 2021. It was deferred pending the submission of additional information to provide further info on the presence of the natural heritage features and natural hazards present near the site. So these were an unstable slope as well as a woodland, I believe. So since then, a geotechnical analysis, issue scoping report, and EIS have those documents have been prepared and submitted to the local municipality to their satisfaction, in identifying no major concerns. The geotechnical review in particular investigated the slopes on the site, and that did confirm that the slope condition is stable here, and that was one of the main concerns around the site. And the proposed severance is also outside of the erosion hazard limit. So no concerns were identified with the proposal as it stands today, but notwithstanding that, there were recommendations that there may be a requirement for a further investigation as part of any construction in the future. So that would be typically handled as part of a building permit process. The applicant was also required to submit a conceptual site plan as well as a zoning matrix to confirm that the sites were capable of accommodating the zoning provisions applicable. This was confirmed by the municipality as being satisfactory, so that has also been satisfied. So other than that, following a planning review and communicating with the local conservation authority as well as the local municipality, planning staff are of the opinion that this application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to both the county and local official plans, and we're satisfied that the zoning bylaw can be upheld with respect to the proposal. So we would recommend approval subject to the conditions provided therein.
Any comments from any of the members?
Just a question. How is the township recommending that they get rid of that parking area on the township right of way, and how are they going to keep it that way? Are they going to put barriers up? Is the township putting barriers up? Is the developer putting barriers up? Because it's a municipal right of way and they're barring parking. How are they going to do that there?
I might, Mr. Chair, comment.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm just not sure the area you're referring to. There is on Inverary Lane, which is the north-south street, there is a municipal parking. There's a municipally owned parcel of land which is used for parking on the west side. Is that the area you're referring to? I'm
referring to the comment to the condition from the township where they want the applicant to remove the parking area located on the municipal right-of-way.
Part of the parking area for the dwelling in front, adjacent to Front Street, is in the municipal road allowance. And we're going to undertake to remove that portion of it.
I'm on the call.
Pardon?
Actually, our proposal is to relocate that parking lot to behind the dwelling. So we will comply with that.
So looking at that sketch that's up on the overhead there, you're talking about the corner, Front Street and Inver, whatever, is that?
Yes, I okay that with you.
Okay.
Inverary Lane.
Inverary Lane, okay.
Yes. Yeah, yes to your answer to your question.
Okay.
Do we have anything from the municipality telling us what they propose?
They just say that they want the parking and the air conditioner removed from the municipal right-of-way to the satisfaction of the staff.
We have submitted them a drawing showing the air conditioning unit and also where the new parking would be for the existing dwelling. And they're evidently satisfied with that, to relocate the air conditioner and to establish that new parking area for the existing dwelling.
I'd like to just make sure all the members know they have comments in front of them on this from neighbors and you got yours, Dennis?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Marlene or any of them were gonna come to the meeting or come by Zoom?
One is on.
There's several persons interested in this application are.
Do you have anybody that registered a complaint or an issue with this site, this plan? Yeah, attending by Zoom?
Yes.
Please identify yourself. Do you please identify yourself then?
Frank Oliva and Tracy Lee.
And do you have a comment?
Yeah, there's an interesting conversation that was had yesterday by the applicant that he approached all of the neighbors and basically said this was a business decision. He does not have a concern about the neighbors' well-being in regards to the severing. He has intent to, if passed, sell his property and then take the proceeds to build another property and then sell it again. And in the proceeds of doing that, he tried to, maybe try to butter us up perhaps in this conversation. My concerns are this. I'm looking at it right now, 4 to 6 well-established trees that if allowed and the building proceeds, there's no way in the world those trees are going to exist. So we're going to be removing very large established trees as well. So, and that's the trees that are along the Inverary side of the property line. I'm not sure if that's the actual township line or the county's property, or if it's his, either or. In order for him to be able to construct a piece of building there, I'm sure we're going to lose another piece of this. I still say this a very sensitive property area. I understand the geotechnical end of this where they're talking about that it meets all the requirements, but no one can tell me that on top of the problem with the natural habitat of the sensitivity, the erosion factors around it, that cutting trees from this area is not a well thought out idea. Because no one can predict what that will do eventually in 5 or 10 or 20 years. In addition to that, this corner that he's referring to, especially the corner on the where Tower Heights and Inverary meets, the county owns a parcel of land that has a lot of overflow parking because of the lack of parking for a number of the residents. So when guests come, specifically weekends, summertime, it gets quite full. And we're also looking, by putting a building there, you're increasing, or reducing sight lines, referring to this corner here. I put in my letter that the Central Allegan forced one of our neighbors at the opposite end, who was refurbishing a fence, that he had to put up sight lines. Like, I understand there are setbacks and this and that, but when you put a building up, there's no sight lines again. So again, increasing the safety problems, especially on long weekend when visitors are curious and traveling around here and don't understand the neighborhood. We as neighbors do. We know how to drive appropriately. Others don't. There are children who play on the road here, playing catch with their grandparents, etc. There's a number of things that need to be considered. And I just didn't appreciate that the developer sent a letter referring to himself as a neighbor when in fact this was completely a business decision. He's looking to make more money for himself. And I see this is all about his money being platted, because he has intent to sell his property, then just sell the property. Severing it and then building and then selling it again is just a money grab. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Any further comments from anyone?
Mr. Chairman, my only comment is that a lot of things that we look at are defined by the dimensions of the property. A lot of things the landowner just brought up are strictly within the power of the municipality to make those decisions on tree cutting, sightlines, trafficking, all of that. So we can't really get into the municipal business of things. We can only stay within, does the zoning bylaw and official plan allow a building on this envelope? That's our job. And it's not passing the buck. It's simply saying legally, we can only comment on one thing. And, you know, you've got a municipal rep that represents Port Stanley. And you've got to go to that person and get them to address a number of the comments that you've just made, because that's outside of our legal jurisdiction.
Jack, do you have a comment?
Very well said, Dennis, and I agree wholeheartedly. I was gonna ask if there was a delegation of these neighbors attend a Central Elgin council meeting to have these concerns of theirs addressed, because they've obviously recommended approval of this by land division. So if it ticks all the boxes and meets all the official plans and provincial policy statement, that's our mandate to vote on.
Any other comments from any members?
Can I add to that quickly?
Just quickly, yes.
I did talk to council and my local council person in regards to parking issues and other safety issues, and only recently had no parking signs appeared. I get the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but I think and you guys are just looking this purely as a business function, and I understand that. But the reality is there is also we live and exist here, and now it's turning into businesses. So I'm not sure what the vision of Port Stanley and Central Elgin is, because it seems with the amount of developing that is occurring, the existing older subdivisions are now also being cherry picked.
And through you, Mr. Chair,
Jack, do you have a comment?
I would just like to reiterate that regardless of the decision that's made today, the neighbors can still act as a delegation to their local municipality with all their concerns so that they are addressed as time goes forward, right?
That's right. Yes.
It doesn't have to end here.
Julie, do you have anything further to read?
The resolution?
Well, I'm going to say the resolution because we've read all the conditions before. They haven't changed, right? So
And I'll move the recommendation.
moved by Dennis O'Grady, seconded by Rose Kennedy, that we proceed with the conditions of that the Central Elgin has put on there and the county.
Me to read those, Mr. Chairman?
Pardon?
Would you like me to read those, Mr.
Yes, please.
Be it resolved that severance application E8521 be approved subject to the following conditions. A digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan be provided to the County of Elgin. Solicitor undertaking to provide a copy of the registered deed for the severed parcel once completed, and municipal addressing to be provided to Elgin County from the local municipality prior to final approval to the satisfaction of Elgin County planning. Additionally, the following conditions from the municipality of Central Elgin be included as conditions for consent. The applicant enters into a development agreement with the municipality of Central Elgin with respect to administrative, financial, legal, and technical matters. The payment of cash in lieu of the dedication of 5% of the land for parkland purposes. The municipality of Central Elgin be provided with a copy of the reference plan. And a drainage reassessment be done, if necessary, at the owner's expense.
Thank you. That's all the members and that's the agreement, right? So I'll call the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members.
The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Land Division at elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request. Thank you. So the next application is E27-22. Take notice, an application has been made by John Adam Lethbridge and Christine Lynn Lethbridge, 36434 McDermott Line, Shedden, Ontario, for consent pursuant to Section 50 of the Planning Act, as amended to sever lands municipally known as 36434 McDermott Line, Township of Southwold. The applicants propose to sever a parcel with a frontage of 53 meters, 173.88 feet along McDermott Line by a depth of 300.9 meters, 987.2 feet, and an area of 1.43 hectares, 3.52 acres for rural residential use. The applicants are retaining 93 plus or minus hectares, 229.81 acres plus or minus proposed to remain in agricultural use. Do we have any applicants or agents or interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee.
Good morning. You have Helen Button from Gunn and Associates. I'm the agent for the applicants. Adam Lethbridge, one of the applicants, is also calling in.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now ask Jesse, the planner, to read the reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this application here is essentially another surplus dwelling severance. So looking to separate the balance of farmland from an existing residential use. So this proposal here, one of the more, I guess, peculiar things is that it does have a natural heritage feature. So it's the Talbot Creek Casey Drain, which transects the property around the residence. And the committee will note that the parcel size is a little larger than what is typically seen for a surplus dwelling severance. However, when staff do review these proposals, we do take into consideration, in addition to policies under the provincial policy statement and official plans, we also do look at the topography and where logical boundaries may lay and what the ease of farming the balance of farmlands would be as well in the future following the severance. So while the parcel size is a little larger than what you would typically see for a surplus dwelling severance, staff are supportive of it just based on the topographical features that are present and the perceived difficulty or anticipated difficulty that any future farmers would have in navigating those tight corridors or smaller parcels of land that are included with the parcel. So that's kind of the more specific item with this. Otherwise, in terms of the provincial policy statement, staff are satisfied that it is consistent with the policies in there. It does conform to the County of Elgin official plan and local official plan in terms of those policies for lot creation in an agricultural area. Again, there are natural heritage features present. So the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority did provide comment. They did not advise of any concerns with the proposal. So there was no issues identified there. Staff are supportive of the application and recommend approval in accordance with the recommended conditions provided by the county and local municipality.
Do we have any comments from any of the members?
I got a question. Was there, I see the survey line, and normally on a property like that, you'd see the property boundary going to the creek. Is there any reason why they didn't go to the creek? Because, I mean, that leaves a bit of a no man's land that's owned by somebody else at the back of their property. Was that ever talked about?
If you're just talking about the very back, I believe that goes to the top of the bank.
Okay.
Any other questions? It is a concern, I know that, but I understand with water and that to get around for the.
Yep.
No other comments? John?
Just as a quick comment, so essentially we're saying that the size is dependent upon the creek topography, or the creek outlining the back end of the property. Is that what we're saying? And therefore the size is okay?
Yeah, my understanding is because of the unique features, it's a little bit larger because some of it is just non-agricultural. You can't farm it, so they're just severing it off. And for their own reasons, they are not taking the ownership to the bed of the creek. They're just simply taking it to the top of the bank.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chair, we had some discussion with the planner when we pre-consulted was Brian Pierce, and his recommendation was that the boundary of the severed lot be at the top of the bank. So that is what the surveyor did. And yes, that's correct. That back section is a section that isn't farmable really or accessible by modern equipment, floods in the spring. And so it didn't make sense to leave that as this sort of outlying separate section that would stay with the retained lands.
Do you have any comments from Jesse, the planner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I would agree with I would agree with Helen as well. Our understanding is that it just made logical sense, just given the access constraints there, and there are no crossings of that water course at that location to get into those northern lands. And there was also a discussion with the local municipality, I believe, between the applicant and the local municipality in respect of potentially moving the driveway. However, it's the cost benefit of undertaking that was seen as not a good use of time or money or resources, just based on the amount of land that would be saved. So we are supportive of the current layout.
I move.
Moved by John Andrews. Seconded by Rosemary, subject to the conditions of the county and the municipality of Southold.
Be it resolved that severance application E2722 be approved, subject to the following conditions. A digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan be provided to the County of Elgin. Solicitor undertaking to provide a copy of registered deed for the severed parcel once completed. Additionally, the following conditions from the Township of Southold be included as conditions for consent. That the applicant meet all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant provide a description of the lands to be severed, which can be registered in the Land Registry Office to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant's solicitor provide an undertaking to the municipality to provide a copy of the registered deed for the severed parcel once transaction has occurred to the municipality. That the applicant successfully apply to the municipality for a zoning bylaw amendment and to rezone the severed and retained parcels, and having such rezoning of the zoning bylaw come into full force and effect pursuant to the Planning Act to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant have a drainage reapportionment completed pursuant to the Drainage Act to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant provide a mutual drain agreement pursuant to the Drainage Act to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant have a septic system assessment be completed by a qualified individual on the proposed severed parcel to ensure that the lands are suitable for a privately owned and operated septic system to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant's solicitor provide a request for clearance of conditions to the municipality, demonstrating how all the conditions of consent have been fulfilled to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. And that prior to the final approval of the county is advised in writing by the municipality how the above noted conditions have been satisfied, and finally that all conditions noted above shall be fulfilled within 2 years of the notice of decision, so that the County of Elgin is authorized to issue the certificate of consent pursuant to section 5342 of the Planning Act.
Call the vote on that.
Sorry?
All in favor? Yes. Carried. The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Land Division at elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request. Thank you. Our next application now is E70-21. Take notice an application is made by Brady and Aaron Zimak, 54694 Carlton Line, Vienna, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990, as amended to sever lands municipally known as 54694 Carlton Line, Municipality of Bayham. The applicants propose to sever lands with a frontage of 204.0 meters, 669.29 feet along Carlton Line by a depth of 94.02 meters, 308.46 feet, and an area of 2.05 hectares, 5.07 acres, to be conveyed to 54624 Carlton Line. The applicants propose to retain 65.35 hectares, 161.5 acres to maintain its existing residential use. Do I have any applicants or agents and interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee. We have no applicants or agents, so I'll now ask the planner, Jesse, to speak to this application, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this application here is dealing with agricultural lands. This is one of the scenarios in which the provincial policy statement allows for land division in an ag area if it's for a legal or technical reason, and under the PPS that does include minor boundary adjustments. So given the size of the parcel and the location of the proposed severance, staff do consider this a minor boundary adjustment to the lot. The second detail that contributes to it being considered a minor boundary adjustment and not the creation of a new lot is that the proposed severed lands are going to be conveyed and consolidated with 54624 Carlton Line. So you're in essence not creating a new parcel. I will direct the committee to take a look at just the aerial for the application, because you can probably get a better handle on what the application entails. So there is a natural heritage feature. So there's a creek with associated valley that runs on the north side of the severed the proposed severed boundary, as well as some hazard lands that are identified there. So as part of that, staff did discuss with the local municipality and the Long Point Region Conservation Authority with respect to any potential requirements for looking at environmental impacts or potential risks associated with the application. After discussions with the Conservation Authority and local municipality, it was found that due to the fact that the lot that is benefiting from this lot addition is previously developed, it's already developed, and there is no development proposed on the lands to be severed. The requirement for an environmental impact statement or investigation of potential hazards, so slope stability, that sort of thing, was not required as part of this application, because in essence you're adjusting that property line. One of the points of note for this, and this is reflected in the recommended conditions from the local municipality, is the boundary, the northern boundary of the severed lot is, for lack of a better word, arbitrarily straight. Whereas you can see that the boundaries on both the west and east sides of it do generally follow the natural feature. So in discussions with the local municipality, it was asked to include a condition of any approval that that northern boundary be adjusted to generally follow that feature. So whether it be, you know, the top of bank or the creek itself, just so that we do follow that topography. With that said, following a review by planning staff, staff are of the opinion that the proposal otherwise is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It conforms to the County of Elgin official plan, as well as the municipality of Bayham official plan, and will be able to comply with zoning pending a rezoning of the severed lands, as well as benefiting lands, to recognize the rural residential uses that are existing there. A last point just to make as well is that as these lands are within a regulated area for the Conservation Authority, any future development, so whether it be a building permit for a shed or an addition to the house or things like that, that'll be reviewed under those regulations for the Conservation Authority. So there may still be a requirement in the future for an EIS or a geotechnical, or any number of those studies may be required depending on the nature of any future construction or development here. We are satisfied that that will be captured under those appropriate regulations, which again is why the EIS and additional information isn't being required at this time. So staff therefore recommend approval of the proposal for those reasons, subject to the conditions provided therein.
Thank you, Jesse. Is there any comments from any of the members of the committee? John?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Jesse. Am I mistaken, or was this application not wholly completed? There was a concern from BAM about a number of issues, especially information, quote, information relevant to the proposal. And also that IBI rather, who did the planning assessment, first used the phrase, the intent of the application, and that's what the decision or their comments were made on. It's the first application I've seen in 3.5 years, however long we've been doing this now, where a decision is being made based on an intent of an application as opposed to the application per se. Is that valid?
Through the chair, it's my understanding that further conversation has taken place between the local municipality and the applicants themselves to clarify that missing information. And the local municipality did also provide a recommendation for approval of the application based on that. So we assume that those concerns were addressed by the local municipality.
The local municipality just passed or repassed, I think, that at the committee meeting last week, or at the council meeting last week. I was at the committee meeting, but I had, under the advice of the Elgin County Council, had to remove myself from the committee or from the council meeting. But we referred, but I believe we've received confirmation that they went ahead and did that on some of the correspondence that was in there. and that's where they were making the point about the northern boundary. Is that correct? The northern boundary following the natural water course, that is.
Yes, through the chair. So the question, just so that I'm clear, you're just wondering if that was further discussed and what the outcome of that condition is?
Yeah, council apparently addressed it last Thursday evening, but I didn't, I had to leave the council because we've been directed not to attend council when they're talking about.
Oh, I understand. So the Land Division Committee will actually note that at the time of writing of the report that was submitted, both the Conservation Authority and local municipality had not submitted. So the local municipality hadn't submitted endorsed comments. They had submitted their draft resolution that was going to be presented to council, and the local Conservation Authority, we were working with them. So the report that was submitted did not, it still reflected the conversations that were had between the agencies in absence of those comments at the time. Since then, so local municipal staff did bring forward that resolution respecting the removal of the environmental impact assessment, as well as the revised list of conditions to Bayham Council. And then since then, the local Conservation Authority has also provided their comments as well, in accordance with the discussions that were had. So yes, last Thursday, Bayham Council did endorse those recommended conditions as well. And so that was, we anticipated that based on our conversation with local staff, and that's why it was presented in the report.
May I ask one other question, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, John.
Jesse, can I just follow up one more thing? I just found the whole process very confusing. Maybe the problem is me, not the application, but also a sense of an implication that another property or another dwelling was going to be built on the two merged lots, even though there's already a property or a dwelling on at the second location. I'm sorry, I don't have the number right in front of me. Are they looking, is part of the intent of this to turn it into a lot that will have two dwellings on it instead of just one?
Through the chair, our understanding based on the information that we received with the application is we have no reason to believe that that's the intent there. If they are planning on constructing another dwelling, or again, constructing accessory buildings or an addition here, they are within the regulated area for the Conservation Authority. So that will be addressed under the appropriate regulation. So if they do go for those in terms of approvals, they will need to go through the necessary planning review process. So that'll look at potential impacts to the natural heritage feature, the hazards that are present on the site. But for now, based on the information that was provided with the application, there's no development proposed. And as a condition of a recommended condition of approval is that they do need to go through with consolidating those lands to ensure that you don't have a new standalone buildable lot.
Jack, you have a question?
Oh, I just like to move that approval of this application based on the conditions specified.
Okay, thanks. Seconded by John Andrews.
Be it resolved that severance application E7021 be approved subject to the following conditions. A copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan be provided to the County of Elgin. Solicitor undertaking to provide a copy of registered deed for the severed parcel once completed. Additionally, it is recommended that the following conditions from the Township of Malahide be included as conditions for consent. That the owner revise the configuration of the severed lands to have regard for hazard lands and setbacks from such hazard lands, including confirmation from the Long Point Region Conservation Authority. That the owner obtains approval of a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the retained lands from an agricultural or A1 zone to an agricultural A1A zone. That the owner obtains approval of a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the severed lands from an agricultural A1 zone to rural residential RR zone. that the owner of the lot addition lands located at 54624 Colton Line obtains approval of a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the lands from an agricultural A1 zone to the rural residential RR zone. Planning report fee payable to municipality. Digital copy of the final survey provided to the municipality. Letter of undertaking from a solicitor or lawyer confirming that the severed lands from 54694 Colton Line will merge on title with the lands at 54994 Colton Line.
Thank you. All in favor of that? It's carried. The notice, or the decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you'd like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Land Division at elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request. Thank you. Dennis a minute to come back. Just have a short break right now.
There you go.
E3-22. Notice an application is made by Pioneer Hay Sales Limited, 29013 Pioneer Line, Dutton, Ontario, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act as amended to sever lands municipally known as 35229 Third Line, Township of Southwold. The applicants propose to sever a parcel with a frontage of 57 meters, 187 feet along Third Line by a depth of 398 meters, 1,305.77 feet, and an area of 2.6 hectares, 6.42 acres, containing a residence and 4 additional buildings for residential use. The applicants are retaining 34.6 acres, 85.5 acres proposed to remain in agricultural use. Do we have any applicants or agents and interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's Jordan Folkens from B.M. Ross and Associates, and we're the planning consultant for the owner.
Okay, thank you very much.
And sorry, may I just add one point of clarification? I believe what was read was the previous submission. This has been significantly reduced to
Yes.
now be, okay.
We will be going through the additional changes.
Yeah.
I'll now ask Art.
Mr. Chair, it's Dan McKillop, and I'm here to support Jordan.
Pardon? Who is this? Dan McKillop? Okay, Dan, thank you. Planner Jesse, could you give your comments, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So further to Jordan's comments, I did just want to clarify, and I'm not sure if the committee will address that after, but just to clarify the size of the parcel being sought, this application was already was previously reviewed, and as a result of concerns raised by the Township of South, the county, with respect to the ability for the proposal to be consistent with the provincial policy statement in terms of size of the parcel, the applicant has prepared a revised submission. So the parcel that they are seeking approval for today is approximately 3.36 acres. So that's just shy of 50% smaller than the original proposal. That being said, aside from that, the proposal is largely the same as previous. So it is a surplus residence to a farming operation. The applicant is looking to separate the existing farmhouse from the balance of the farmland. They have included the driveway, which makes up a considerable portion of the lot size. So again, 3.3 acres, 3.5 acres. It's usually in the larger end of a surplus dwelling lot size, but again, considering the length of the driveway required to be incorporated with that lot, that was deemed appropriate. Nothing really particular about this proposal. It is a pretty standard surplus dwelling severance, aside from the fact that it was identified that the septic system on the lot is quite dated and will need to be replaced as a condition of approval. So the township did note that. And then the other item was that due to the property being located adjacent to a county road, County of Elgin Engineering requested that road widening be dedicated if it has not been to date along the entire frontage of the severed and retained lots, as well as if there is no entrance to the retained portions of the lands, that an entrance permit be obtained for any new entrances there to make sure that they have access. Aside from that, considering that the reduction in size and keeping with the minimum required to accommodate the house and for the proposal with policy.
Close enough.
Last.
And
We lost,
Cutting in and out all the time. Rogers.
That's
part of the problem.
would recommend finish.
we've lost you, Jesse.
Oh, can you?
Jesse, we
Am I
lost
coming
you.
in? Okay. At what point did you lose me? Should I start over?
The last minute.
The last couple of minutes.
Okay. Okay, so essentially, I'll keep it short. Nothing of concern that was identified here. I think the major item that was identified in the previous submission was just the size of the lot, which the applicant has addressed. The proposal otherwise is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the county official plan and local official plan with respect to lot creation in the agricultural area. Thank you.
Thank you. And members of the committee have something to say? Dennis?
Chairman, just a normal comment. The water line is not marked on the survey, so just a caution to the landowners that they should mark that, make sure it's protected or a right of way or something. I don't know if it just goes right down the laneway or not in that particular area. Just a red flag to the landowner that they should have it protected, either right of way or it should be on the property they own.
Yes, the water line height. Is there
Mr. Chair,
pipeline water there?
Mr. Chair, there is pipeline water and it does go down beside the lane. But thank you for your concern, but I'll pass that on to the owner.
Yes, it has to be on the lane, within the laneway.
Yep.
Jack, you have a question?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. A question for Jesse. As a planner, Jesse, could you clarify your interpretation how this does meet with the PPS? If it's stated that provided a new lot will be limited to a minimum size needed to accommodate the use and appropriate sewage and water services. It makes no mention of 4 accessory buildings. I'm just looking for a clarification. If we're looking at the diagram on the screen right now, you know, it's mentioned in the report that a lot of this acreage comes from the laneway, which is true, but it also is not mentioned that a lot of the acreage in this proposal comes from the back end. Looking at the sketch, which includes 4 accessory buildings, or at least 3. So does it in fact confirm or conform with the PPS? I just like your comments on that as a planner.
Thank you. Through the chair. So as part of applications like this, we do consider things like that, of course. It's my understanding that the applicant is looking to demolish or remove a silo, as well as I'm not sure if there's any other buildings that are proposed to be removed on the site. But when we do look at this, we do look at the established farmland and the established improved area when we are creating that lot. And just based on the location of the buildings and what's been improved there, based on the water bodies that are there, we didn't have any concerns that this didn't or wasn't consistent with the PPS. This is a typical situation where, you know, it's oftentimes you will see these residences also converting those outbuildings for storage or for shops. And so long as they're not being used for agricultural purposes or livestock, generally we don't have an issue with that, especially if they are in a state of good repair. I don't know if the applicants would like to comment on the proposed uses of those outbuildings, but in my opinion, as a planner, I would be supportive of this just based on the level of improvement on the site. And given the proximity to the residents and use by the residents.
Mr. Chair, I could comment.
Okay, please.
So first of all, the silo has been removed or taken down. That part has been done, and that's why the line was drawn where it is. There was a pond on the original application. It's been going to be filled in. So it's no longer with the application. And the other thing that I think Jesse was trying to talk about is this property is up on a hill, and if you talk to, or is a higher elevation, and if you talk to the neighbors, it's not farmable where any of it is, where the house and the outbuildings are. The other part of it is the barns with the silo gone. Obviously, there's less chance, but there's no chance of at this point in time they're being used for storage. And then one's a shop, and one is a unique. That came in from London a number of years ago, so it's a unique feature that we tried to maintain. So we're right up against it. You can see it as one of the outbuildings. So that's the reason why we're where we're at. But the barns are for storage only. It could be hay storage, but that wasn't one of the. That's what Brett used it for. The owner used it for. What the new owner will do, that's there, but it can't be, my opinion is it can't be used for livestock. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? The only comment I have is, why is there, you have to have 187 feet for frontage on third line, when normally some of them are only 60 feet, 70 feet. We're taking a lot of land out of the farm use for a wide, extra wide laneway. Property all the way back.
It's like 21.82, isn't it?
Do you have any answer on that?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, so you're wondering about the reasoning
Width
for
of the laneway.
The width of the laneway?
Yes.
I believe that was just, I believe that was just used to, that was just drawn to incorporate the entrance and the driveway and the improved area along the side of it.
I think the proposal through you, Mr. Chair, was adjusted to 71.59 feet, 21.82 meters.
Okay, sorry, I'm
reduced.
okay, sorry about that. Any other questions from any member?
I'm moving.
Second.
Moved by John Andrews, seconded by Dennis O'Grady.
Be resolved that the severance application E322 be approved, subject to the following conditions. A digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan be provided to the County of Elgin. And the solicitor undertaking to provide a copy of the registered deed for the severed parcel once completed. That the owner dedicate lands along the frontage of the severed and retained lot parcel up to 15 meters from the center line of construction of the third line County Road 18 to the County of Elgin for the purposes of road widening, if the right of ways is not already to that width, to the satisfaction of the county engineer, all costs to be borne by the owner. That, if necessary, an entrance permit be obtained from Elgin County for a new entrance to the severed and or retained parcels. All costs associated with this shall be borne by the owner. Additionally, it is recommended that the following conditions from the Township of Southwold be included as conditions for consent. That the applicant meet all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant provide a description of the lands to be severed, which can be registered in the Land Registry Office to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant solicitor provides an undertaking to the municipality to provide a copy of the registered deed for the severed parcel once the transaction has occurred to the municipality. That the applicant successfully apply to the municipality for a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the severed and retained parcels by having such rezoning of the zoning bylaw come into full force and effect pursuant to the Planning Act to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant have a drainage reapportionment completed pursuant to the Drainage Act to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant provide a mutual drain agreement pursuant to the Drainage Act to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant have a septic system assessment be completed by a qualified individual on the proposed severed parcel to ensure that the lands are suitable for a privately owned and operated septic system to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant obtain a septic permit for the removal of the existing septic system and install a new septic system by a qualified contractor on the severed parcel to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant have the existing silo demolished on the severed parcel with all materials removed to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant obtain a change of use permit for the existing barns that had capability of housing livestock to ensure all capability of housing livestock has been removed to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That the applicant's solicitor provide a request for clearance of conditions to the municipality, demonstrating how all the conditions of consent has been fulfilled to the satisfaction and clearance of the municipality. That prior to the final approval of the county is advised in writing by the municipality how the above noted conditions have been satisfied. That all conditions noted above shall be fulfilled within 2 years of the notice of decision, so that the County of Elgin is authorized to issue the certificate of consent pursuant to section 5342 of the Planning Act.
One comment before I call the vote.
I just wanted to, speaking personally, when I read this application back in January, I had a real big knot in my stomach, reading through the justification report, the number of non-farm lots, larger in size, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think a lot of that was irrelevant. I also wanted noted that just because someone purchases a farm doesn't automatically guarantee a surplus farm dwelling severance. There's lots of other opportunities, life leases, long-term rental agreements. I understand some farmers don't want to be landlords. There's other opportunities here. So I just wanted to, I guess, note that a lot of thought, consideration, and experienced reasoning went into the final draft and adoption of official documents like the PPS, the county official plan, and the municipal official plan. And I think these need to be respected. So thank you for the opportunity to state my concerns.
Yes. I'll now call the vote. All in favor? It's carried. The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Land Division at elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you very much to the committee.
Thank you. Okay, now our next one is we've got 4 here, E44-21, E45-21, E46-21, and E47-21. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Steve Gibson to the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll read the application. Take notice, an application is made by Brent Douglas Allen, 10247 Talbotville, Gore Road, St. Thomas, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act, as amended to sever lands municipally known as 10247 Talbotville, Gore Road. The applicant proposes to sever a lot with a revised frontage of 15.24 meters, 50 feet along Talbotville, Gore Road by a revised depth of 30.48 meters, 100 feet, and revised area of 540.2 meters squared, or 5,814.66 square feet.
Perhaps, Mr. Chair, sorry for interrupting. This is actually, those severances were already granted.
Yes.
And so what you have before you today, and there was an explanatory note that was,
Sorry. I don't have, I just have the one E44-21
no, you have,
for future residential use. A revised area of 16,842.2 meters squared, 181. Right there is revised steps,
Page 175.
175,
Oh, what page was that, Marlene?
125,
the explanatory note. Can you put it?
here's 120.
There it is up there.
Yeah, 134 on mine, 134.
134. I was gonna say, his agenda only goes up to 155, so 134. Let's keep scrolling.
Sorry. Sorry,
Next one, yeah, our page.
134.
This is the explanatory note that the solicitor is referring to.
Sorry,
No problem.
apologize.
It's okay.
Explanatory note, it's the Elgin Land Division Committee from Elgin County Legal Services. Do you want me to read the whole thing or just the background?
Well, I can provide some
Yeah.
context. Maybe I can explain.
I apologize,
No problem. The attendance before you seeks some assistance in resolving a technical obstacle to the anticipated finalization of a series of 4 provisional consents previously granted. I appear as the county solicitor, and my friend Ms. Cormier is appearing remotely for the current owner of the lands that are affected by the severances and provisional consents previously granted. What I propose to do, I'll provide some context, and I will turn to Ms. Cormier for her comments, and then I can be available for any further response or answer any questions. So the explanatory notes filed indicates that this is a combined matter dealing with 4 provincial or provisional consents previously delivered. The relevant facts is that in May of 2021, the then owner of a parcel of land, one Brett Douglas Allen, through agent Mr. Caranci, who I believe is also attending remotely, applied for 4 related severances on Gore, I believe it's Tulbaville Gore Road in Southwold. In June 2021, this committee granted the requested provisional consents. In the normal format, the decision indicates that the consent was requested by and granted to Mr. Allen. Subsequent to the granting of the provisional consents, Mr. Allen sold the whole of the existing parcel, comprised of the 4 lots and the remainder lot, to the current owner, Woodland Way Developments, Inc. Ms. Cormier acts as counsel for Woodland Way Developments, Inc. I'll refer to them as Woodland Way. The current owner proposes to satisfy the remaining conditions to the provisional consents and now, out of necessity, present transfer documents for stamping, upon which documents Woodland Way Developments, Inc. is the named transferor. Elgin Legal Services, with the input from Mr. Hogan, was asked to consider the issue of stamping of transfers naming Woodland Way and not Mr. Allen as the transferor. So this is an anticipated issue. Elgin Legal Services concluded that given the chronology of ownership and the wording of the decision, the sale to Woodland Way has created a disconnect in relation to the provisional consent as currently worded and the presentation of transfers naming Woodland Way as transferor. Concurrently, however, it's noted that the sale of the property to Woodland Way now prohibits presentation of deeds naming Mr. Allen as the transferor. Elgin Legal Services recognizes this impasse does not alter the planning merits of the provisional consents, and in fact impedes a finalization of the consents granted by this committee for valid planning reasons. It is with that in mind that Elgin Legal Services suggested a method by which the impasse could be resolved and the disconnect bridged through revision of the general condition to account for presentation of deeds naming the current registered owner's transferor by the normal specified date. Does not alter the planning, that approach does not alter the planning merits, and to that extent constitutes a minor change in the condition pursuant to 53(6) of the Act so that no notice would be required. Based upon the research of Elgin Legal Services, both legal and quite frankly inquiry of the approach taken by other municipalities, including other planning departments, this appears to be a unique situation, not specifically dealt with in the reported decisions, and would not constitute or create a significant precedent. So that's sort of the context of it all. I can indicate that my friend and I, who have had a few dealings over the years, don't necessarily agree completely on the analysis, but I think do agree upon the resolution. So I'm going to turn the podium over to my friend for any comment she may have, holding my breath as I always do.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to appear virtually, Mr. Chair and committee. I guess the focus of my comments will be on the latter of Mr. Gibson's statement, in that we have agreed on a resolution to what my colleague has raised. I will affirm that all of the decisions for the consents remain intact, all of the conditions remain the same. The only issue that was raised by my colleague was the fact of a change in ownership. With respect to the previous decision, the concern of my colleague was that the consent was in fact granted to Brett Douglas Allen. That was the individual. However, the registered owner today is my client. I appear as legal counsel for Woodland Way Developments, Inc. So at this time, we're in a position to complete the severances. And so the issue was whether or not they could be completed with transfers being submitted to the application in the name of the current registered owner. So what my friend and I have discussed basically is a small, what I call administrative or a technical change to a condition that would suggest that the decision would expire unless naming the current registered owner as transferor for stamping. And we'd also discussed the risk of any potential expiration and have agreed that perhaps an extension of the satisfaction of the conditions to June 23, 2023 would be appropriate, just to take a belts and braces to ensuring that these consents actually get processed and fulfilled well before any expiration arises. Subject to my friend's comments, I think we're on the same page as far as this matter is concerned. And if you have any questions.
Perhaps just to build on what my friend has indicated, I can advise that the proposed wording is similar to that what is reflected in the explanatory note, but would now read in the first, I'm going to call it the general condition, that this decision will
This decision will expire unless a deed naming the current registered owner as transferor is presented for stamping by June 23rd, 2023.
And the, in terms of the change in the date, believe that we've had previous requests which would align the date for completion of conditions in accordance with the transitional provisions under the revision or under the changes to the Planning Act. So that would allow for up to the 2 years from the date of the decision. So that is the resolution that is being proposed. It's presented as a change in condition that's minor in nature, not requiring notice. And again, the decision itself and the format of the decision, the change is actually within the first sentence of the condition, the list of conditions.
Dennis?
Chairman, would it be legal if we included all 4 severances in one resolution? We don't need a separate resolution for each one?
I think that they are, as long as the title to the reference line, I guess, is can be combined. I'm content either way, and perhaps out of an abundance of caution, you might want to do it separately, I guess.
Do it separately.
That's fine.
All right.
And, okay, so we'll do a resolution on each one, so a total of 4 resolutions.
Right.
So, any other questions from the committee?
I move.
So we're moving E 44-21 as the first one. We have a mover by John Andrews, seconded by Rosemary Kennedy. Any further questions from the committee?
How will the so it's this decision regarding E 4421. So each resolution will require that the file name on it. Is that correct? To make it legal?
Right.
Okay.
So I think that
This decision regarding E 4421 will expire, et cetera.
Yeah.
the wording would read that this decision will expire unless a deed naming the current registered owner as transferor is presented for stamping by June 2023.
All in favor of that motion? It's carried.
I'll move the next one for E 4521.
I'll second.
Moved by Dennis O'Grady, seconded by John Selden.
Resolved that this will expire unless a current registered owner as transferor is presented for stamping by June 23rd, 2023.
Yes. Okay. All in favor? It's carried. Okay. So we'll now deal with E 4621.
Make a motion.
Moved by Rosemary Kennedy, seconded by Jack Van Castern.
Resolved that this will expire unless a deed naming the current registered owner as transferor is presented for stamping by June 23rd, 2023.
All in favor? It's carried. We now have E 47-21, moved by John Andrews, seconded by John Selden.
Resolved that this will expire unless a deed naming the current registered owner is transferred as presented for stamping by June 23rd, 2023.
All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a question.
Thank you kindly for your time and assistance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always thought severance went with
So
the
I read
name. Is that important, is it?
read this again?
I always thought this severance like that went with the land, like the title when we read it. But the name is also important.
If they run with the land, and again, this is following the decision-making, but that would be, I think, the position that my friend had taken relative to running with the land. My position is it runs with the land when it becomes final. It's, you know, the issue became when the transfer occurred and in a bind, in that the person to whom it was granted couldn't provide the deed. That's the disconnect.
Right.
What's that?
I knew you'd be right.
Friend doesn't always agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't want to say that might be the first time I've appeared before the Land Division Committee for Elgin. Other than providing some general guidance, but I'm glad I made it through.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Treasurer will be pleased I did.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So our next meeting is on June the 22nd. And before I have an adjournment, you have one
Just
item to mention to us, please?
a point of clarification with respect to questions raised regarding the minutes for the last meeting, specifically applications E16, 21, E17, 21, E18, 21, and E19, 21. I can confirm that the resolution is, needs to be amended to reflect the following. Be it resolved that the decision and the applicant's requirement to fulfill all conditions previously granted by Elgin County Land Division Committee be extended to expire no later than April 21st, 2024, unless a deed is presented for stamping.
So now we need a motion on the,
We have,
we had a motion and you were just,
subject to clarification, and so we are covered there.
okay.
Good catch, John.
Any other questions, John Anders?
Comment, are we still virtual?
We are, yes.
No, not virtual?
So
Adjourn the meeting?
Is it with respect to any questions or administrative?
It's just a comment that really I want to make, so I would assume that, I would rather see it not
Okay,
public.
so
we can move adjournment. Moved by Rosemary, seconded by Jack. All in favor? It's carried.
Good job.
sorry, it was that we adjourn at 10:43 a.m. to meet again on June 22nd, 2022.
They're still allowed to come in,
Yes. Thank you.
but some people can only come in